Okay, thank you, Commissioner Doc. Please proceed. You are representing the Anti-Money Laundering Council. For the information of everyone, the Anti-Money Laundering Council is composed of 3 entities: the Governor of the Bangko Sentral, the Chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, and the Chairman of the Insurance Commission. The Governor of the Bangko Sentral cannot make it today, and therefore the Attorney Emmanuel Dook is representing the Commission. Please proceed, sir.
Mr. Chairman, just one administrative matter.
Okay.
Yes. Did we invite the Chinese national, is he in the country, Wei Kangsu, and certain Enrico Teodoro Vasquez, Alfred Santos Vergara, Michael Francisco Cruz, and Jesse Lagrosas?
Okay, Comsec, please reply to the query of Senator Recto.
And Mr. Kim Wong, were they invited as well? Yes.
Comsec, please reply.
Sir, in reply to your query, Mr. Kim Wong was invited. An invitation was sent to him, but he is sending his regrets, and he's sending Attorney Victor Fernandez, counsel for Mr. Kim Wong, sent a letter that his client will be unable to attend said hearing because he is out of the country for medical treatment since March 4, sir. So that's the status of the invitation of Mr. Kim Wong, sir.
4 other individuals, Teodoro Vasquez, who are central to this. Those who opened those bank accounts, yes.
The 4 individuals, namely Mr. Michael F. Cruz, Mr. Jesse Lagrosas, Mr. Alfred Vergara, Mr. Enrico T. Vasquez, could not be located, sir. We sent our staff to send them in the invitations, deliver the invitations, but apparently the addresses given were all fictitious. The people there who they met said that they did not live there, they did not know anybody by that name in those addresses, sir.
Thank you for the information.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you for that. At least it's clarified. Attorney Manuel Dook, please proceed.
Distinguished Chairman of the Blue Ribbon Committee, Senator T.G. Gingona, honorable members of the committee, and senators of our republic, my colleagues in government, my fellow members of the Council, the Anti-Money Laundering Council, represented by the acting OIC of our council, Deputy Governor Nesting Espinilla, and the Attorney Gaite of the Securities and Exchange Commission, whose name has been overlooked earlier in the introduction portion. He is representing the chair, Attorney Teresita Herbosa. Both of them, through me, have conveyed the regrets that they could not attend this hearing. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. The Anti-Money Laundering Council of 2001 was enacted to ensure that the Philippines shall not be used as a money laundering site for the proceeds of any unlawful activity. The AMLC, as the agency tasked to implement the AMLA, has been vigorously implementing the law despite some loopholes or deficiencies. The AMLC has been investigating money laundering activities and has filed a number of money laundering complaints before investigating bodies and money laundering cases before the court. The AMLC has been steadfast in the performance of this mandate. It is not unknown to you that in the performance of our duty, we have been sued both in our official and private capacity for undertaking actions such as conducting bank inquiries and freezing bank accounts. In one case, we have been deprived of legal representation from the OSG, and so we face the disastrous consequence of paying for our own legal defense. But we are undeterred. We assure you that we will dispense our duty without fear or favor. However, money laundering investigation and subsequent filing of money laundering cases are only remedial measures to protect the integrity of the financial system and to ensure that the Philippines shall not be used as a money laundering site for the proceeds of crime. Money laundering could also be prevented by instituting preventive measures by having the right and appropriate legal and institutional framework, such as the inclusion of all financial institutions and the designated non-financial businesses and professions as covered persons, and requiring such institutions to have money laundering preventive programs in place, including the casinos. The AMLA was amended a number of times to strengthen the same and address the legal deficiencies of the Philippines, and consequently comply with the relevant UN conventions and international standards on combating money laundering and terrorism financing by the Financial Action Task Force, or FATF, an international body which monitors the compliance of countries or jurisdictions with the said AML CFT standards. The AMLA was amended by Republic Act numbers 9194 in 2003, 10,267 in 2012, and 10,365 in 2013. The law was indeed strengthened as the application for bank inquiry can now be done ex parte. The definition of money laundering has been expanded and is now in accordance with the relevant UN conventions and FATF recommendations. Additional crimes or offenses have been included as predicate crimes to money laundering, and some of the so-called designated non-financial businesses and professions are now considered as covered persons or reporting persons and entities under the Anti-Money Laundering Act. Despite these huge efforts to improve the system, there still remain strategic deficiencies which make the Philippines vulnerable to the risk of money laundering. The latest bills to amend the AMLA, which were the basis of the enactment of Republic Act number 10,365, include some items or provisions which unfortunately were excluded. These refer to the inclusion of casinos and real estate agents and brokers as covered persons, and tax evasion as predicate crime to money laundering. As you may note, the Philippines was included by the FATF in its list of monitored jurisdictions in 2010 because of some deficiencies identified in its anti-money laundering and combating the financing terrorism regime. A majority of these deficiencies were addressed by Republic Act numbers 10,167 and 10,365. Thus, the FATF, in its plenary meeting in June 2013, decided to remove the Philippines from its list of monitored jurisdictions, with a caveat, however, to address the non-inclusion of casinos in the coverage of the anti-money laundering law. That was in 2013. Insofar as the case subject of this investigation is concerned, we assure this committee and the public that the AMLC has been on top of this investigation from the moment the matter came to its knowledge. The AMLC immediately started its investigation to identify and track down the transactions involved in the unauthorized fund transfers involving US $81 million belonging to the Bangladesh Bank and to identify the persons and entities responsible therefore. We assure you that the AMLC will continue with its investigation and we will not leave a stone unturned until we get to the bottom of things and find the truth. In this particular case, we will send a message to the global AML-CFT community that the Philippines will not allow itself to be a haven for laundering criminal proceeds. Now we are faced with these questions, Your Honors. Is the inclusion of casinos or casino operators necessary in our Philippine AML-CFT regime? Mr. Chairman, the thing speaks for itself. The lessons we learned from this recent episode is unmistakable. We have to put more teeth in our laws so that we can stop criminal elements from exploiting the deficiencies in our existing laws. There are gaping holes in our laws. We have to include casinos as covered entities. Maraming salamat po, Mr.
All right.
Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Doc.